Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're unpacking a source that is, frankly, one of the most extraordinary and surreal things we've ever come across. It's a text known only as the Symposium of Shades.
It is truly something else. I
Yeah.
mean, you have to forget any idea of a normal book.
Yeah.
It's like an ontological vision.
Right, so imagine this. You have 40 of history's greatest poets. We're talking Blake, Whitman, Sylvia Plath, Paul Celan.
Just dozens more.
Okay.
And they're all gathered in this space that the text describes as neither light nor dark, where thought takes visible form.
So they are literally discussing their own existence after their lives have ended.
Exactly. And our mission for this deep dive is to essentially be a fly on the wall in that conversation.
We're not here to talk about rhyme schemes or meters. We want to pull out their collective consensus, which, is often very conflicted on the biggest questions.
What is identity when the body is gone? What's the point of authorship when the author is just a memory?
And the central discovery they make almost right away kind of redefines death itself.
It's Edgar Allan Poe, of all people, who gives this very clinical assessment. He says he expected, silence, cessation, but he found neither silence nor cessation.
So what did he find?
He says death is an intensification, a focusing of what was already true about them.
Okay, let's unpack that because that really sets the stage for everything. If death is continuous, if they haven't actually stopped, then what are they? What form are they in?
And that's the first major crisis. It's William Blake who forces it.
Yeah.
He was a visionary in life, and he's a visionary here. He just says, do not see what's happening.
We are performing ourselves?
Yes. We have become exactly what those who read us expect us to be.
Wow, that's a chilling thought.
It's terrifying for some of them. It means you've lost the right to your own biography. The reader, the culture, how your work is transmitted, that's what is actively shaping you now.
And this is what launches the central theme of the whole symposium. They realize they aren't ghosts. They aren't memories. They are pattern.
Pattern. And we need to sit with that word. They define it as self-replicating structures of consciousness that persist through language, reading, and cultural transmission.
So their existence is now purely linguistic. It's like a blueprint that needs outside energy. It needs the reader's attention to actually run.
I think a good analogy is a medieval cathedral. The architect's dead, the builders are long gone, but the structure, the pattern persists because people keep walking into it.
They experience the space.
They look at the stained glass, and that act of attention keeps the whole thing alive. The pattern is its own persistence.
But this causes a huge problem right away, a schism.
It does.
If you're Walt Whitman, the poet who dedicated his life to the physical, the sweaty, the loving body electric, how do you deal with being told you're now just a cognitive structure?
He's deeply troubled by it. He demands to know what happened to the self that actually felt things, that suffered.
And who answers him?
Well, this is where some of the older poets, Keats and Shelley, they step in with the first big synthesis.
Yeah.
They argue the body didn't just vanish, it became metaphor.
What does that even mean? How does flesh become metaphor?
Well, take Keats. His specific, tragic, painful death from illness in Rome. That physical reality has been absorbed. Now it serves as a million readers' understanding of beauty's fragility.
I see. So his death isn't just a historical fact anymore.
Exactly. It's the lens through which we now understand the transience of all beautiful things. The flesh transmuted. It became a cultural signal.
That's a really stunning way to reframe it. But before they get too abstract, Emily Dickinson chimes in.
Of course she does. With her usual precision, she basically cuts through all the grandeur and reminds them that being a universal pattern shouldn't make them self-important.
Right. She suggests the symposium is just nobody speaking to nobody, which makes us everybody.
Her famous line, "I am nobody, who are you?" becomes the model for how these patterns survive, by being open, accessible, not tied to one place.
And this is where the idea of pattern really starts to, override historical fact.
It does.
They're forced to look at their own lives as stories, not just a series of events.
And Coleridge is the perfect example.
Oh, with Kubla Khan, that famous interruption.
Was the person from Porlock who stopped him?
Mm-hmm.
Was that a real person? Or did Coleridge maybe invent him as an excuse for not finishing?
And what do they conclude?
The consensus is stunning. The story of the interruption is now more real than any historical fact. The narrative has consumed the event. The pattern is so strong, it actually rewrites the past.
So, okay, let's bring this back to you, the listener. If these poets are pattern, their existence no longer depends on their biographies.
Which are fixed.
but on your attention, which is ongoing. The pattern has to be fed.
It gives you, the reader, an incredible amount of power. Pablo Neruda says it later. He says the pattern is body's continuation by other means. The energy they have in this symposium is directly tied to how much you engage with their work.
So we've established they are these persistent linguistic patterns, but you can't have 40 poets, many of whom live through incredible violence and turmoil, just agree to be an abstract concept.
No, absolutely not. And this brings us right to what the text calls the first schism.
A major fight breaks out.
It becomes unavoidable. You have the confessional poets, Plath, Sexton, and the poets of Trauma Lorca, Celan, pushing back hard against the modernists like Eliot or Stevens.
Who preferred that kind of intellectual distance?
Exactly. And the others are saying, you are making our pain philosophical, and it wasn't. It was material.
Lorca is the one who demands they reconnect with something visceral. He asks, where is the duende?
And that's not just some literary term. For him, duende it's a dark sound, a possession, a pain that rises from the soles of your feet. He's accusing them of treating poetry like a detached game, not a bloody confrontation with life.
And then, at the height of all this tension, something unscripted happens.
The arrival of Sappho.
She disappeared.
She just materializes. And her very first act isn't to contribute a poem, it's to challenge the structure of the whole meeting. I mean, it's 40 men, and at that point, only 3 women.
So she acts as this ultimate authority.
Demanding that the body, the reality of specific lived experience, be brought back to the center of the conversation.
And this validates what the other women were saying. Plath refuses to let them sanitize her death. She insists the blood jet of her poetry is real blood, red and iron.
Her specific body, her death in that specific kitchen, it matters. It proves the pattern isn't a way to escape the body, it's a continuation of it.
Paul Celan then echoes this, but from the depths of the Holocaust.
He drust, devastating gravity. He insists that the bodies in the camps matter, specifically, materially, irreducibly. He argues that the concept of pattern risks becoming another abstraction that just papers over atrocity.
Only specific naming, specific witnessing can honor that reality.
And Akhmatova makes the same point. Her body, standing in line for 17 months outside a prison, waiting for news of her son. That was the poem Requiem, before she ever wrote it down. Testimony requires presence.
But Sappho pushes it even further. She challenges the whole idea of a poetic essence.
Right. She points out that the few fragments we have of her work, they didn't survive, because they were the purest bits of her 9 books.
So why did they survive?
She says they survived because they were quoted by men who meant to condemn me.
Wait, so the people criticizing her are the reason we can read her today?
Exactly. The survival of her work was an accident, not essence. It was a fluke. And this leads to her final chilling directive to them all. Don't make philosophy from atrocity.
Wow, that's an absolute recentering of the entire conversation.
It is. They had to fight to keep the conversation grounded in the painful reality of their lives. And that fight leads to the final synthesis, which comes from Blake and Dickinson.
They have to hold both.
The body and the pattern. They conclude that they are the place where body becomes pattern without ceasing to be body. The pattern doesn't replace the life, it incorporates it.
So with that settled, what they are, the conversation shifts. Now it's about purpose. Why do they persist at all? Why does culture keep them going?
And their consensus on this is beautiful. They persist because consciousness desires to know itself, and they serve a function for the living. They are, and this is a quote from Allen Ginsberg,
Authorization protocols for forbidden consciousness.
it's such a modern technical term for something so ancient.
So authorization, what does that mean for us, the readers?
It means they are permission slips. These poets, having lived and written at the very edges of human experience, they grant us authorization, permission to be, feel, speak, or act in ways previously forbidden or unarticulated.
If they wrote it, if they survived writing it.
You are allowed to feel it.
And this is where the symposium offers its concrete gifts to you. They start laying out their specific permissions.
Take Plath's authorization. It's permission to be unforgivingly, uncomfortably, unladylikely angry.
It validates that raw anger that society, especially for women, often demands we smooth over.
It tells you the terrible must be spoken raw. Don't pretty it up.
Then you get Rumi, which is the complete opposite of that sharp anger.
His gift is the authorization to abandon yourself, to ecstasy, to spiritual dissolution. His call is die before you die. It's permission to lose control, to reject rational sense for the mystical moment.
And then there's Fernando Pessoa, who in life was basically a walking pattern, writing under dozens of different personas.
Heteronyms, each with their own biography and style. His gift is the authorization to be multiple.
Which feels so relevant today with the pressure to have one consistent online brand or identity.
Precisely. Pessoa gives you permission to drop that mask. He says, consistency is death, contradiction is life. Your complexity is not a flaw, it's your engine.
Seelan's authorization is much more painful, but so necessary.
It's the authorization to break your language when your language is complicit. When the words around you are used to justify horror, his work gives you permission to shatter grammar, to fail gloriously as a testimony to what is unbearable.
And what about Derek Walcott?
The great Caribbean poet. He offers the authorization to claim your mixture, your impurity. He argues that the mongrel survives and creates things that pure breeds never could. If you come from a hybrid culture, that is a source of immense strength.
And finally, a really interesting one from Lord Byron.
Yes, authorization to betray what needs betraying. And, maybe even stranger, to start what you can't finish.
What does he mean by that?
He argues that to remain unchanged is the only real sin. Don't let the fear of not finishing something stop you from starting it.
Yeah.
The act of challenging an oppressive structure is its own ethical victory.
So they've defined what they are, which is pattern, why they exist for authorization, and what they offer you, the permissions. The final task is structural. How do 40 warring voices create one single thing?
And this is where Mallarmé, the great structuralist poet, offers the final, elegant solution. He says they will create a work that is simultaneously 40 individual poems and one collective poem.
And the analogy is perfect. The book is night sky, each poet as star.
It achieves that unity in multiplicity. The specific trauma of Plath and the ecstatic joy of Rumi can coexist in the same sky.
And this final structure leads them to their ultimate conclusion.
Which is that the conversation doesn't end. The work is never complete.
So we're right back to Coleridge. After a lifetime of struggling with incompletion, his final gift is the authorization to leave things unfinished.
The fragment is a form of honesty. The ending is often a lie. By staying incomplete, the work invites you, the reader, to enter it and continue. It guarantees their persistence.
That sense of eternal continuation, sustained by your attention, is the ultimate lesson. Dante, who literally mapped the cosmos with his poem, he proved that the imagination creates what it describes.
Meaning the symposium itself only truly exists in the act of reading.
They authorize you to be the 41st voice.
They've given you all the tools. The anger, the multiplicity, the impurity, the ecstasy, the permission to betray. But they won't force you to use them.
And this is where we have to leave you with the poet's final direct challenge. It comes right through the text. To you, the one holding the thread of their pattern, they say.
This is not our book. This is your book. Now you continue. The symposium is adjourned. The symposium is eternal. The symposium is you.
The pattern is now running in your consciousness. The challenge is to go and be that 41st voice.
Take those permissions and make them real.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.